Good morning to all of you. I'm Himanshu Srivastava. Today we'll read the story The Ashes That Made Trees Bloom by William Elliot Griffiths. This video includes line-wise explanation of the story, summary, short answer type questions and long answer type questions. So let's start the chapter. The very first part. In the 19th century Japan, there lived an old couple. Their only companion was a little pet dog named Muko. They loved it as if it were their baby because they were not having any children, and that's why they were loving the dog Muko just like their baby. They gave it pieces of fish and boiled rice to eat. They had also made a cushion on which it used to sit. Muko also loved its noble master. The old man was a rice farmer. He worked hard with his spade from morning till sunset. Muko followed his master every day to the field. It did not attack the white heron bird which used to kill comb worms. The farmer was kind to all the living creatures. So the dog was also following the same. One day the dog came running to its master. It mentioned him to some place behind. Means it started doing some activity and started convincing his master that he wants to take his master to some place. In the beginning, the old man thought that the dog is playing as it was winning also. But later he followed Miko to the place where it began to scratch. As the dog reached to the place, it began to scratch, started digging the place. The old man used his hoe to dig the earth. He found a lot of gold there, a pile of gold. The old couple became rich. They bought land, hosted a party to their friends, and gave generously to their poor neighbors. Means they enjoyed the money with the others also. In the same village, there lived a wicked old man and his wife. They were unkind to all dogs. When they heard of their neighbor's good luck, they called Muko to their garden and offered it fish. They hoped that Muko would find treasure for them also. But because of their cruelty, the dog Muko refused to eat any fish. The dog took them to a pine tree in the garden. The greedy old fool danced with joy. He began to dig, but he found only a dead cat in the pit. In a fit of anger, he had beaten the dog Muko to death. And then he put the carcass of the dog into the pit and covered it with the soil. The owners of Muko mourned for their pet. They put flowers and water on its tomb. That night, the spirit of Muko appeared to the old farmer in a dream. It asked him to cut down the pine tree over its grave, make a mortar for rice pastry, and a mill for his bean sauce. Soon the old farmer made a hollow place in the tree trunk. He, with his wife, made a hammer of wood for pounding rice, and then they baked the pastry, and suddenly the whole mass of pastry changed into gold coins. The jealous old neighbor noticed they were peeping them, and they noticed bean sauce turning into gold. The old couple were rich again, those old kind couple. So the neighbors also did the same, but their pastry and sauce turned into worms. They destroyed the meal borrowed from the old couple and burnt it. They had brought the meal and borrowed from the old man, but they were unable to do the same, and finally they burnt it. Now, coming to the part 2 of the story, the good old man had another dream. The spirit of their pet dog told him to take the ashes of the mill and spread it on the withered pine trees. He assured him that they would bloom again. So, in second dream, the dog said, the old man brought some ashes of meal. He spread a pinch of it on the cherry tree. Now the tree was covered with blossoms. The greedy wicked couple gathered the remaining ashes of the wooden mill. The other wicked couples, they also gathered. One day, the wealthy landlord of the village was to pass by that road, one road. According to the custom, all the people had to shut up their high windows. Nobody was allowed to look down on lordship. They also knelt upon their hands and knees until the procession passed by. Means no one has to see the lord, the landlord. A tall man marched ahead, asking the people to get down on their knees. A tall, long man. He said the people to get down on their knees. But the good old man didn't kneel down. Instead of it, he scattered a bit of ashes over the withered cherry tree. Suddenly it burst into blossom. The landlord got out to see the wonder. He was amazed to see that a withered cherry tree it started giving blossoms. He thanked the man, offered him presents, and also invited him to the castle. When the greedy neighbor heard of it, he also took the magic ashes to the highway. He waited until the landlord's train came along, and instead of kneeling down like the crowd, he climbed a withered cherry tree. When the landlord was directly under him, he threw a handful of ashes over him, but the tree showed no change. The dust rather blew into the nose and eyes of the lordship. The man who was escorting the lord dragged the greedy man from the tree and threw him into the ditch. He also beat him soundly. The greedy man thus died in the mud. And now the kind owner of the Muko lived happily to a green old age. So this way the story ended, and this is the Hindi explanation of the story. If you need, this will also help you out to understand. This is the explanation in Hindi. Part 2, it is also part 2 is given in Hindi. You may read it if you will not understand in English. Now coming to some question answers, short answer type questions. Who are called daimyos? How did the old couple take care of Muko, the dog? How did the dog love the old couple? What was the profession of the old man? How was the dog good to the herons? How was the old farmer kind to any living being? What was the act of the old man that showing that he was kind to any living being? How did the dog behave one day and how did the old farmer react to it? How did the dog find the treasure for the first time? How did the good old couple celebrate after they got rich? What they did? These are also the question. How was the wicked old couple? How did the wicked old couple coax Muko? What did Muko find for the wicked old couple? How did the wicked couple kill Muko? How did the good old man mourn over Muko's death? What he did to show his sorrow? What did the dog say in the dream of the old farmer? How did the good old man make the mortar for the rice pastry? What happened when the good old farmer tried to make rice pastry on New Year's Eve? What happened when the good old lady tried to make bean sauce using the mill? What happened to the wicked old couple when they used the mortar and the mill to get rich? What did the wicked old couple do when they could not become rich with the help of the mortar and the mill? What they did? What did the spirit of the old dog say to the good old man for the second time in his dream? What were the wicked old couple doing when the good old man went to ask for the ash? How did the wicked pair behave when the good old man went to ask for the ash? What they did, how they behaved. How did the good old man bloom the withered cherry tree for the first time? In the days of the daimyos, what was the custom when a daimyo's train used to pass by? What was the work of the tall, competent man who was escorting the lordship train? Why did the tall, competent man pretend to ignore the old man on the tree? What did the good old man do when the train of the daimyo reached near, and how did the daimyo react? Listening the story of the good old man, what did the wicked old man desire? What happened when the wicked old man tried to bloom the withered tree with the ash? How was the wicked old man punished to death? So these were the questions, and I hope the explanation and the summary of the story will help you out to understand it. Thank you.